Hey guys, Ryan here, and in today's video I'm going to explain what I think are the 3 best sniper supports for Season 2 of Warzone, and we're pretty much going to get right into it with my number 1 option, the Vaznev 9. Now, when you're looking at this gun, it pretty much ticks all of the boxes you want in a sniper support. A sniper support should be good within 0 to 10 meters, it should be good between 10 and 20 meters, and it also just needs to be something that you feel comfortable with recoil-wise. And I think this gun is the perfect combination of everything I just described. Now, I'm not saying the other guns I'm going to talk about on this list aren't as good as the Vaznev, and I think they have their own strengths, but realistically, if you're looking at it, this is probably going to be the best option for the vast majority of players. As a lot of you guys know right now, the MP5 is the most popular submachine gun used in the entire game, and this is one of the few sniper supports I'm going to recommend that actually competes with it between 0 and 10 meters, and you have to understand that is the biggest strength of this gun. The other sniper supports I'm going to list don't necessarily compete as a close range option comparable to the MP5, and that's going to be their weakness. However, the other guns on this list are going to usually have some type of strength that sets it apart from this gun, and we're going to jump into the second gun, the Kastov 7.62. Now, I'm going to get into the build with this, but first I want to show you the biggest downside with this gun, and it's going to be the recoil to a lot of people. And I really need to stress why I think this gun is good and why I think the recoil is not as big of a deal, but I really did want to showcase the weakness first. So the recoil, it's mainly just vertical. So this means as long as you're pulling down a good bit, you're really not going to experience the recoil that much. But secondly, you can also change the build to get a little less recoil, and if you're experiencing it like it's just too much for you, make sure you do change the attachments and make sure you're using a gun that you're comfortable with. I think the biggest thing people need to understand is the guns you use, you need to feel comfortable with. If the gun feels like it has too much recoil, if it feels like it has too much whatever, then don't use it. But if the gun feels good to you, even if it's not the best statistically, then use it. The main reason I like the Kastov is because it has better mid-range damage than any other gun I'm going to talk about on this list, but on top of that, it also has insanely good close-range damage, and it's just an overall beast of a sniper support. As I said, it comes with hefty recoil, but the damage is insane, and once you actually start to use this gun and get a feel for the recoil, it's really not that bad. But now, moving into the third option, we're going to have the FSS Hurricane. So this gun sits on the other side of the spectrum as the Kastov 7.62. The damage isn't too insane, but the recoil, the mobility, this is easily one of the easiest guns to use in all of Warzone, and that's why I'm going to highly recommend it for almost anyone. If you're using that Kastov 7.62 and you feel like it has too much recoil, just try this thing with the build I have, guys. You just have to pull a tiny bit down on your joystick or mouse and it does not move. It is a literal laser, but on top of that, it has insane mobility so you can win close range gunfights, and it's just overall a great gun. Now, when I talk about a lot of these sniper supports, I love to talk about feel and what I talked about earlier with feeling comfortable with the gun. And if you don't like any of the other options, try this thing because I think it's easily the most comfortable gun you could use as a sniper support outright. Now, I'm not saying it's going to beat the Vaznev in a close range battle. I'm not saying it's going to beat the Kastov in a mid-range battle if you're hitting all of your shots. But you're going to hit way more shots percentage-wise and statistically with this thing versus those other guns if you aren't comfortable with the recoil of the other guns. Now, I am going to talk about a couple things with this though. The damage on this thing does not compare to the other guns on this list. That does not mean that it's weak or it's going to be too weak for you to use, but when you look at the Vaznev, the recoil really isn't that much worse than the Hurricane, but it also has way better damage up close, and you're going to find yourself losing to that MP5 a lot with the Hurricane. This still means it's a viable option, but you have to keep that in mind. And if you compare it to the Kastov, it's going to have less recoil in the mid-range than the Kastov, but a lot less damage. And I think these are the things you have to keep in mind. If you find yourself just losing gunfights because of the damage aspect, maybe consider changing. But if you can't hit your shots with the other guns, then the Hurricane's a perfect option. Now, I am going to get into some alternate options and what I would consider the honorable mentions here. So the first two I'm going to talk about are going to be the TAC 56 and the M4. Now, both of these have good close range damage, good mid-range damage, and they're a little easier to control than the Kastov. So if you kind of like the Kastov or the idea of it as a sniper support, maybe try these. On the flip side, the TAC V is another great option. Now for SMGs, it's really just going to kind of be the Vel 46. There's really not a lot of options there, so that's why my honorable mentions list is so short and why there's not that many SMG sniper supports. I'm really sorry for the lack of gameplay clips. I have been playing a little, but really not that much because I'm in Europe and I have this laptop, and that's why the videos are a little different right now. But I will be home this week. The content is going to resume like normal. Coaching content will resume. I'm going to be rolling out my website and channel membership so you guys can get builds. I can help you with personal coaching stuff and all of that. There's a lot of stuff coming for the channel, and just thank you guys so much for all the support recently. You guys are awesome, and I genuinely appreciate it. It's been Ryan. I hope you have a good day. Peace.